SpongeGex here, continuing my Mario Party series review. Up next is Mario Party 6, the third entry on the GameCube. Previously, I shared that I had memories for not caring about this one as a kid, but worry not, fans of Mario Party 6, after revisiting this game, I realized the game is a lot better than I remember. But how does it compare to previous entries? Let's find out. The game originally released in Japan and North America in 2004 around the holiday season, 1 month apart, with Japan getting it first in November, followed by December for America. The game once again got someone else to compose the music, but this time they got two composers from Hudson, with Hironobu Yahata and Shinya Utoge. I hope I pronounced those correctly. They also did the music for Bomberman 64, Mario Party 7, and Mario Party DS. I apologize, for in the past videos I claimed that the music got bland around Mario Party 6, but it's honestly not that bad. It's not as good as some of the previous games, but it's still a lot better than the bland, awful music you get in Mario Party 9 and 10. I swear, there's some music tracks in Mario Party 6 that sound like they came straight from Rocko's Modern Life. Mario Party 6 was the first entry to be more than the usual $50 price tag. I can't find the original price listings online, but I think it was $70. It was $20 more than the usual price of a Mario Party game, because it was the very first entry in the series to come bundled with a new accessory. Mario Party 6 introduced the GameCube microphone, allowing players to use voice commands for minigames. A fun idea, but very forgettable in the end, and not worth being forced to pay $20 extra for. I was kind of excited for it when I first played it. I was like probably 13 when it first came out, but after a short while, I got bored and annoyed with it, and I never used it again. Luckily, the full game does not require the microphone, for we can shut off the minigames that require voice commands. The worst part is that these minigames could have easily worked with regular controls, but they did not give us those options. This wasn't the first time that Nintendo experimented with microphone interactivity, for it was first introduced in Hey You Pikachu for Nintendo 64, where we tried guiding and commanding Pikachu to interact with our surroundings. It was a fun idea for a kid's game, but too bad the programming was awful. Pikachu would not listen, no matter how clearly you spoke. I've never heard a single person claim that the game worked for them. This game's like universally hated by almost everyone. So, the GameCube microphone is more responsive than Hey You Pikachu's, but it still has moments of delay. The worst part about the microphone is actually its design. You had to connect it into one of your two memory card slots, which would be really annoying for those who like to have two memory card slots occupied at a time. The worst part is that it has a very short cable, so you have no choice but either scoot up a chair close to your TV or move your entire couch or something. Yeah, it's not fun. And to make matters worse, you have no way of having it cling onto your controller, unlike Hey You Pikachu. If I recall, for Hey You Pikachu, you snapped it in through the... I think you had to connect it in through the memory card slot on the back of the controller, and then there's also a cable that you plugged into an N64 controller slot. If I recall, you had to press the Z button to use the microphone. But for the GameCube, the microphone has its own button built in that you hold to talk into. It would have been nice to be able to attach the microphone to the controller though, although there were third-party accessories made down the line that allowed players to do that. Too bad Nintendo never officially made one themselves though. And it still doesn't fix the microphone's short cable problem. Most of the microphone minigames are 1 versus 3, where one player uses only the microphone, no controller whatsoever, while the other 3 use traditional controls. There's one microphone game I cannot try out, for it requires 2 players, and there's one that's strictly for single players, but I'll discuss more of these minigames in a bit. The mic also has a few secrets, like you can unlock a lot of these secrets throughout the game. For instance, you can shout a character's name at the character select to select them a lot quicker, instead of having to scroll all the way over to select them, but it doesn't take that much effort to select them manually, honestly. It's a shame that the game required buyers to buy the microphone. There was no separate bundle to allow us to buy the game separately or the microphone separately. I mean, what if something went wrong with your microphone and you wanted to replace it? Tough luck. And I remember this also made the game a pain in the butt to try selling to GameStop, because they would not accept it unless you had the microphone included. So aside from the microphone gimmick, Mario Party 6 has another gimmick, being the day and night cycle, originally used in Mario Party 2's Horrorland map, where every 3 turns, day turns to night and vice versa, opening new options and gimmicks, along with shutting off certain shortcuts and stuff like that. So all of Mario Party 6's maps implemented this day and night gimmick, giving off the vibe that Mario's party is going on for days. It admittedly was a fun and clever gimmick, but on top of that, it even affects most of the minigames. usually just physically changing their appearance, but sometimes they'll even change the gameplay or rules entirely. It's a really cool feature. I'm shocked they never brought it back. It would be cool to see it finally reintroduced in an HD Mario Party. So ever since Mario Party 3, the following games recycled the same voice clips between the characters. But Mario Party 4 had Charles Martinet take over as the voice of Wario, while they replaced the old Mario Kart 64 voice clips of Yoshi with his more adorable Yoshi Story voice clips. The voice clips in Mario Party 4 and 5 were starting to sound outdated, as every other game on the console updated the characters' voices and personalities, like making Luigi more timid and having Daisy be more tomboyish, competitive, and loud. So Mario Party 7 finally gave the characters new voice lines, along with replacing Jen Taylor's Daisy voice with Deanne Mustard's. And Deanne Mustard became the longest running voice of Daisy, voicing her for about 20 years before she recently dropped the role. They sadly ditched Bowser's monstrous sound clips from the N64 era and gave him his more bumbling villain voice that we've been hearing since Mario Sunshine. So Donkey Kong still uses those annoying ape sounds that he made in Mario Kart 64, and I don't think it was until Mario Party 7 where they finally used DK's modern voice that's been used since Mario Power Tennis. They finally got rid of that annoying and nasally female voice announcer from the first 5 games, and they replaced it with just a regular sounding guy. I mean, nothing too exciting, but at least it no longer sounds like Lois Griffin is nagging at us. So, just like the N64's third entry, the GameCube's third entry replaced the round spaces with octagons, except they're rotated at a different angle. Also, like Mario Party 3, this one has a cartoonier and less detailed graphic style compared to its other GameCube releases. Mario Party 3 had a pop-up book art style, but Mario Party 6 couldn't seem to make up its mind on what they wanted it to look like. Some levels use flat props, while others look more detailed. Some have like no textures, some have textures, and I think overall they were trying to give it like the vibe of a fantasy storybook. I mean, because the game opens up with like a storybook, the file select is a storybook, but I feel like the game's art style just couldn't commit to it. It felt too mixed up. We have the same roster for Mario Party 5, but one character was actually added in the form of Toadette. She was a recent addition to the franchise, previously debuting as Toad's companion in Mario Kart Double Dash. You can unlock her in the Star Bank after saving up enough stars. That's right, this is the first entry since Mario Party 2 where we can collect stars and actually spend them on unlockables again. But coins, sadly, are not collected to be used for purchases. And so they can't be spent on additional unlockables, only the stars. I honestly preferred having the coins as the currency, where the stars could be converted into 50 coins at the end of the game. In the Star Bank, we can unlock additional features, like a new level for one of the single-player microphone minigames, the final board map, secret phrases that can trigger Easter eggs with the microphone. Some of these unlockables are kind of lame though. For instance, we have to purchase the L button taunts. I forgot to mention that, but in Mario Party 3, they added a taunt feature where we could annoy other players by pressing the L button to have them taunt the other players. There's something so funny about like the later GameCube games where Mario's taunt has them shout, "Hey, Stinky!" So the reason why this is a lame unlockable is because ever since Mario Party 3, you didn't have to unlock that feature. The characters could already taunt, but this one they force us to buy them individually. Now, I love the idea of a game giving us stuff to unlock, a reason to keep replaying it, but it's really lame when they strip a past feature and force us to buy them back one by one. That's kind of annoying. The capsule machines for Mario Party 5 are no longer here, but the capsules do make a return, but they've been renamed to orbs for some reason. So we can collect random orbs by crossing certain parts of the board maps, or we can buy them from the item shops. The orbs are slight improvements over their functions from Mario Party 5, for we can get a random amount of coins from opening them, instead of having to spend coins just to use them like before. When creating a space out of them, the newly made spaces will create a symbol to show who made that space. So if Mario placed it, you'll get a silhouette of Mario from the side. So that's nice, because I did make that complaint in Mario Party 5 that you can't tell who placed the space down or what's in it, and you still can't tell what's in the space though, but at least it lets you know who placed it this time. We can also create spaces from behind. You could not do that in the previous one. It doesn't have as far of a throwing distance as creating it forward, but it's still cool how you can drop them from behind. It especially comes in handy when you get some of these new trap orbs. Sadly, there's a lot less orbs in this game, and sadly, many of them have been repurposed to have different effects than the previous game, and a lot of these new effects I think are a lot worse than what they were from before. But on the bright side, it doesn't slow the game down as much as Mario Party 5 did every time these were triggered. We even have these trap spaces where you don't have to land on the space, just having an opponent walk by it triggers a bad effect. So there are 2 new orbs in this entry, including the Metal Mushroom, which is for protecting players from an orb trap for 1 turn, along with the Slow Shroom, which is arguably one of the coolest items in the series. It allows us to spin a slow motion dice from 1 to 10 to try to have us land precisely on a space that we want. So Mushroom Orbs can no longer be used to create spaces, we have to use them on the player who got it. The Chain Chomp from Mario Party 5 is no longer used for stealing coins and stars, but since Boo has been playable since Mario Party 5, instead of having a Boo be the one we hire, we got pink Boos instead. So they serve the exact same role as the Boos from the first 4 Mario Party games. I only saw Pink Boo one time during my playthrough. It was during one of the island levels, and I think they only spawn at night. The Magic Lamp item, which warped us to the star, is gone, but it's been replaced with Flutter, the adult form of Wigglers, so they fly us to the star instead. So finally, a flight to the star that doesn't drag on with a long cutscene every time. The Bowser and DK spaces return. This time there's a lot more DK spaces, where I complained to Mario Party 5 there was only one, and it barely ever got triggered. But this time, Bowser and Donkey Kong share the same space. So during the daytime segments, DK space appears, but at night they transform into Bowser spaces. So DK once again has us play one of 3 minigames to collect bananas, with a chance to multiply them in exchange for coins. The minigames are honestly worse than the ones from Mario Party 5. I really didn't enjoy most of these minigames this time around, where I actually enjoyed them in the previous one. But sometimes DK will skip the minigames and let the player roll a dice to give them a coin prize. Ever since Mario Party 3, the next 2 entries include a story mode, requiring us to win minigames and board maps to reach a goal, and they all mostly took dumb luck and many hours to win. Mario Party 6 does not have a story mode, but it does have a single player challenge called Solo Mode, but it also takes dumb luck to win. We get 3 unique linear board maps where it challenges us to collect as many coins as we can by landing on spaces and winning minigames. This can be the quickest and easiest way to stock up on stars for the star bank. Most of these levels can take less than 8 minutes to win, depending on how many minigames you trigger. There's a huge catch, however. This is a linear map with a goal that requires landing on the last space. And if we accidentally roll a dice that makes us go over it, we fall off a cliff, and we lose all the coins we collected, making this a huge waste of time, and it pressures us to try again. So if we do land on the goal space, we get one of 3 rare minigames, and we get a huge multiplication of all the coins we got, along with like these bonus points, and we can exchange those for a huge amount of stars for the star bank. There are items to help us land on the goal space, with your best bet being the Slow Shroom. You just gotta pray that you get that, and you'll most likely have a guaranteed victory, as long as you time the dice right. Or we can try using a Poison Shroom to land between 1 of 3 spaces. However, slow motion shrooms are only drawn at random, so it feels like a gamble if the orb capsule will give us an item we need or one that will just waste our turn. It may not be as lengthy as the story modes from past games, but it's still a huge gamble that can lead to many retries in a row where you keep falling off the cliff in the end. And it feels like they should have at least given you like half your coins, or they should have at least given you some kind of prize for making it that far, but nope, you have to land on that final space. There is an option to call it quits, though, and keep what you already collected, but that still doesn't change the fact that you still got to restart the whole level if you want to beat it. The idea of a linear board map is a fun idea, and it wouldn't be properly repurposed until Mario Party 8 on the Wii about 4 years later. The board maps in solo mode include Thirsty Gulch, which is a dry desert canyon level. Astro Avenue is honestly the best looking map. Sad it was only wasted on a forgettable single player mode, because this would have made for a really fun board map for multiplayer. It's a board map made out of a tiny solar system that we run across. This is really cool. Finally, there's Infernal Tower, which has us running up Bowser's Tower. Now, this is the first Mario Party entry since Mario Party 3 to not have a Bowser-themed board map for the party mode. Instead, it's only for the single-player mode. And what is it with the third entries on N64 and GameCube having so much in common? Overall, solo mode may be less time-consuming than story mode, but it's still a huge gamble. It takes dumb luck to win. It can still take up to hours to win, depending on your luck in this game. So you're better off collecting the stars in story mode by setting the handicap to 9 stars for each player. Quit encouraging kids to gamble, Nintendo. While there isn't a story mode in this game, there is still an opening narrative, but the game does not even have an ending, just end credits that we can unlock at the Star Bank. So aside from Mario Party 5, which had no intro cutscene at all, this game has the weakest opening sequence. It's not even animated, it's just cutouts of the characters being presented in a storybook fashion. I'm sorry, but as a kid, I was spoiled with games that had cutscenes to lure players in, so seeing an intro like this in a Mario game just felt incredibly lazy. And we see too many video games nowadays that don't even have intros, period. I really miss the charming little cutscenes we used to get in games. Nowadays, you either got games that have no cutscenes, or you got games that are nothing but cutscenes. I miss when it focused on the gameplay, but it had sprinkles of cutscenes here and there to catch our attention. But nowadays, I just get bored of so many cinematic video games. It's like usually anytime gameplay comes back, we're just slowly walking through a hallway, waiting for the next cutscene to trigger. I can't stand it. So our story opens up claiming that everyone loves to whoop it up in Mario Party World. What the hell is Mario Party World? Where did this come from? In past games, Mario and pals were throwing their parties across whatever planet Mario and pals live on. Now they're ignoring that and acting like all of his parties take place in a magical realm called Mario Party World. Where did this come from? We're introduced to two new characters being personifications of the sun and the moon called Brighton and Twyla. They claim to have always hosted the parties. No they didn't. We've been through 5 parties and you guys never showed up. We've had plenty of hosts. We've had Toad, Koopa, Bowser, Baby Bowser, Boo, Goomba, Shy Guy, Tumble, an old creep claiming that he's the Millennium Star, but we've never been hosted by a sun or moon. The story is basically the same thing as the first 2 games' conflicts. Characters have a petty argument over who's the best, and everyone decides the best way to settle this is to kill each other in a series of crazy minigames and board maps. Except instead of the whole gang fighting, it's just Brighton and Twyla fighting, and Mario decides collecting stars in the star bank will settle this fight. How? This is the weakest and dumbest plot of the whole series. I know I've said that like with Mario Party 3, and then I think I said something similar with Mario Party 5, but this is honestly the dumbest. This game doesn't even have a conclusion or an ending, just end credits. The developers clearly didn't give a care this time. They were better off just not having a story at all. At least Mario Party 5 kind of did that. I mean, it still had a story mode, but they didn't have like an opening cutscene to get you interested, and most of the cutscenes are just characters floating around in a dream void. So you could say it was the laziest, but hey, it's better than whatever they tried doing here. So yeah, this makes Mario Party 3 and 5's plot look logical in comparison. The main menu admittedly has a nice theme, taking place inside of a storybook land, with everything having a painted texture to it, kind of like Skyward Sword. The menu is split between day and night, with party mode and star bank split right in the center. On Brighton's side contains solo mode and the microphone mode for playing the microphone exclusive minigames. Over on Twyla's side are the options menu and the minigames mode. So let's check out mic mode first. First off, I can't play the minigame Speak Up, for it requires another player, but it's basically a quiz show where you have to speak in your answers using the microphone. I remember I played this once with my sister and we were kind of bummed out by it. It wasn't as fun as it sounded. Star Sprint is the only single-player mic game, with 3 variants altogether, including Meadow Road, Dark Path, and Magma Flow. Magma Flow has to be unlocked through the Star Bank. It's just basically a Bowser's themed version of it. I didn't bother doing all 3 of them because one of them was annoying enough, along with being very embarrassing, so this minigame had no reason for being a microphone game. The goal is to carry a star to the goal, while avoiding obstacles and jumping and dodging. However, instead of easily moving the character with our joystick and pressing B to speed up or A to jump, we have to shout the commands. We have to physically tell our character to grab the star, and if they drop it, we gotta tell them again, grab the star. And we have to tell them run 5 times in a row, and you can't do it too fast, otherwise it won't register. And so that's the only way to have them speed up. They can only go up to 5 speeds, so you have to tell them run 5 times to reach max speed. And then we have to tell them to jump, move up or move down for them to move side to side. It is very tiring and annoying. It made me feel like one of those annoying kids who think shouting words over and over will actually help Dora explore. This minigame was clearly made for little kids in mind, and it just makes grown-up Mario fans feel awkward and embarrassed for playing it, and not in a fun way. I actually have fun playing some of these embarrassing mini-games from games like WarioWare Smooth Moves or Move It. Despite how embarrassing the motions and poses can be, I still think a lot of those games can be very fun to play. But I did not have fun constantly shouting at my character to keep running or grabbing a star. It is so tiring, and sometimes your voice does sound a little delayed. It's like your voice does register, but sometimes it takes a while for the players to register that. You tell them jump, and then they jump like 3 seconds later instead of instantly. So this would have worked better as a touchscreen minigame on the 3DS or Wii U if they were so insisted on giving it a gimmick, but personally I think it just could have worked as a joystick minigame. The other microphone games can flat out be randomly selected in party mode, but we have the option to shut them off. So first off, for the regular microphone party games, which are all 1 versus 3, Verbal Assault has one player commanding a war machine to shoot fire, missiles, lasers, and bombs with voice commands, as we try taking out the other 3 players that try shooting us down. It's a fun idea, but the mic gameplay felt very unnecessary. It should have been an option, not a requirement. There's no reason why we shouldn't have been able to press A for missiles, B for bombs, Y for fire, or X for lasers. Shoot your mouth off. This one has the mic user shouting out numbers to release bombs and bullet bills from their gates to try eliminating the other players as they run around trying to dodge them. Talkie-walkie, is there any reason this one needed mic controls? The microphone user guides the player to move forward, back, left, and right as they try reaching a chest on the other end while avoiding the opponent's cannon fire. This one is very frustrating and annoying and just so slow. It would have worked so much better with joystick controls. Word herd is actually a fun idea, but once again it could have easily worked with joystick controls. So the mic user commands a herd of Goombas to guide them away from the 3 players as we shout up, down, left, or right, or scramble. We can also trip the players with the Goomba movements. And then finally, there's Fruit Cocktail, which is basically a 1 versus 3 reimagining of Mushroom Mix-Up, except one player actually can command the platforms to rise and fall. We have these elevating platforms with pictures of fruit on them. The mic user calls out the name of a fruit. All the other platforms that don't match that fruit will sink down, so the other players need to reach the platform with the matching fruit before they drop to their defeat. Now on to the minigame mode. So the main minigame selection can be found in a mode called Minigame Tour, where our players ride around on a tour bus to tour these minigames. Here we can find the 3 rare minigames that we unlock in solo mode, along with the one that we can unlock in the Star Bank. You can swap between the day and night variants with the X button at the instruction menu. Usually I save the minigames for the end of this video, but to try to keep the script and editing more organized, I'm just going to list off the minigames here. So starting with the 4-player minigames, we have Smash Dance. Boy, does that sound like a spin-off we'll never get. Who wouldn't love to see Super Smash Bros. Meets Dancing with the Stars? In this minigame, we have to race around to ground pound the most lit up panels. They're constantly shutting on and off, making it hard to choose which nearby panel you should go for first. You can usually tell they're about to shut off when they get closer to red or blue. So, not to mention that players can stun each other with these ground pounds. I like the nighttime variant a lot better, for it shows off the lights more. Odd Card Out is another generic minigame where we have to pick which image is different from the others. Most of them are very easy, but some are very tricky upon first use, like noticing a Bob-Bomb's fuse is mirrored. Sadly, there aren't a big variety of images in this minigame, and it ends when one player gets 2 correct answers, so it can get over with real quickly. There are better spot the difference games across different Mario Party entries. Freeze Frame is a tricky luck-based game where each player has only 1 shot left on their camera as they compete to take the photo with the most Goombas. The Goombas barely ever pop out in groups, leaving you no choice but to take a picture as soon as you see at least 1 pop out. It feels like it takes dumb luck to win. I've played it a number of times and I rarely see more than 2 pop out at once on my screen. You try waiting for more to pop out at once, but they never show up, meaning you wasted this minigame because it has a strict time limit. I do like the nighttime visuals for this one a lot better. What Goes Up feels like Mario Party 3's Awful Tower done better. This game has 2 variants, with the daytime version having us being in a vertical platforming fest as we hop off of paratroopas and clouds to get to the highest height. The jumps can be tricky, requiring us to swerve left and right to swerve around to get over on top of the paratroopers who are directly above us. The nighttime variant has us starting off at the top, and we have to race to reach the bottom as we dodge the paratroopers and clouds. It's overall a fun minigame on both variants. I like the daytime version a little bit better, for it requires more skill. Granite Getaway. I do not remember this minigame being from this entry, for it was remade in Super Mario Party Jamboree, and at the time I thought that was new to the game, honestly, but nope, it's from Mario Party 6. So it's basically the iconic boulder chase from Raiders of the Lost Ark, reimagined as a Mario Party chase minigame, as we run and jump over stone blocks to escape the temple before getting crushed by the boulder. It's crazy and fun. Circuit Maximus has us racing through an octagon-shaped maze split into 8 rooms as we dodge the amps and reach the goal. It's overall a fun one. The ending is pretty funny as well, as we see the other players being chased in circles by amps. Catch You Later is a crazy chase as we try collecting fallen mail, and we try giving it back to the mail delivering Shy Guy. Getting the letters is the easy part, but catching the Shy Guy is the tricky part, for he moves incredibly fast as he panics in many random directions, so pink letters are worth the most. You know the NPC AI is ridiculous when even the CPU have trouble reaching the Shy Guy. I've never seen the CPU actually win this one in neither easy or normal mode. Snow World is such a simple but effective minigame as we launch off a ski jump and we have to perform the most spins by circling A, B, Y, and X in that order over and over. It's so simple but still fun, especially since you might find yourself getting better and faster each time you play it. I feel like every time I played this I kept getting a new record. There's something about the nighttime version that makes this look so much prettier, but what's the word I'm looking for?
Aurora Borealis?
Daft Rafts is basically platform peril from the previous entries as we hop over ramps before falling down a waterfall. The platforms aren't too hard, but the hard part is when the obstacles start popping out of nowhere. During the day, the obstacles are spinies, and at night, they're potable flames. Tricky Tires has us racing through an obstacle course. The tricky part is that we steer with the left and right analog sticks. The left stick controls the left tires, while the C stick controls the right tires. And moving both sticks forward at the same time allows us to move forward at a faster speed. The controls aren't so bad, but when mixed with the moving obstacles, it makes for a bit of a challenge, but still very fun minigame. This minigame also has a nice nighttime glow effect. Treasure Trawlers has us driving boats with cranes as we wait for a rumble on our controller, so we can press A to drop the crane and scoop up treasure, while hoping not to gather bob-ombs. It's a fun idea, but incredibly slow. It's basically just a multiplayer version of that oil digging minigame from Mario Party 4, but not as fun. I love how the nighttime variant gives us a dark and rainy night setting. Memory Lane has us trying to memorize a Shy Guy's path as we have to race across the correct tiles to reach the castle at the other end. It's crazy but fun. Motown, I'm not kidding when I say this is my favorite minigame from Mario Party 6, and all we're doing is mowing a lawn to create the tallest grass pile. It's so simple, but so addicting. There's something so fun about just mowing that grass down and seeing our pile getting taller. It's too bad there's not like a record for this minigame, but there's something funny about seeing the night variant of this. What kind of monster just disrupts a neighborhood by mowing a lawn at night? Cannonball Fun may be a lame name, but the same cannot be said for the gameplay. It's basically Shell Shock from Mario Party 2, but so much better. It's faster, easier to control, and it can go on a little bit longer. So instead of being the last one standing wins, instead it's the first to hit the other players 5 times wins. We pilot these hovercrafts as we fire dual cannons, but we can only fire one at a time. We can strafe left or right by holding the R button and tilting left or right on the control stick. There are many trees that we can hide behind. Overall, it's just a fun shooting game, and I love the bell sound effect that you get whenever you land a hit. It's just so comically funny.
Finish!
Note to Self has us jumping to try bumping into these bouncing music notes. Whoever bumps them the most wins. It's simple but fun, and the painted wall changes based on whether you're playing the day or night version. Same is lame. More like this minigame is lame. I'm starting to remember why I hated this game as a kid, because this minigame kept popping up multiple times in one board map. This is one of my most hated genres of minigames. It's bad enough that I hate the dumb luck minigames, but this is one of those ones where we have to press a button and hope that no one else picked the same button, otherwise the game just keeps looping over and over, making no progress. And there's no time limit to end it if it goes on too long. The first player to score 3 points wins. I'll give it this at least. It's the least offensive, for Nintendo found ways to make this type of minigame even worse in the future, by adding in collectibles that are worth more points, like the donut minigame from Mario Party 10, or that awful one in Super Mario Party Jamboree with the lava and the tiles. Oh, I hated those. So this minigame still usually takes forever, with endless loops of everyone picking the same button, no time limit to wrap the game up short. I really hate these minigames. Just absolutely hate them. And yeah, this is the game that gave birth to those kinds, so yeah, it sucks. Lift Leapers is a neat idea for Mario Party fans, but it will feel very dull for fans who've actually played Mario platformers. It's basically a platforming obstacle course, themed after older Mario titles as we race to the finish. The platforming does feel a bit clunkier and sometimes unresponsive with the jump button. I fell a few times because despite how I pressed the jump button, the character didn't jump. It's still a pretty easy course, though. It's usually not too hard to beat the CPU, even if you mess up, because they, for some reason, mess up even more. I kinda wish it was randomly generated or had more variants, but it's okay. Blooper Scooper has us getting shipwrecked by a giant blooper as we try avoiding getting sucked in by the giant whirlpool, dodge barrels along with the blooper's arms. It's a crazy one that can take luck and skill to win. Now if you're expecting me to make a hentai joke, keep looking. Trapeze Artist is mostly a dumb luck minigame, very similar to Freeze Frame. It has the exact same goal to capture the most Goombas with the press of the A button, except this time we're caging them. Sometimes the Goombas on your screen will barely move, forcing you to either drop the cage at a bad time or wait around for nothing to happen. There's even gold Goombas worth triple points. Pokey Punch Out is a fun one where we run around trying to punch out the most pokey pieces. We can get multiple points faster if we manage to knock out a Pokey's head while there's still parts below it. Money Belt. No, this is not a remake of the 1 vs 3 minigame of the same name from Mario Party 4. In Mario Party 4, we had to run across conveyor belts to collect coins while avoiding being pushed off by giant candy. In this one, we observe an X-ray to determine if the boxes coming down the conveyor belt will contain coins, while trying to avoid the ones that contain bombs and punch traps. And then we try opening them, trying to memorize which one has the goods, which one has the bads. So, not as fun as Mario Party 4's minigame, but it's still a decent one that tests your patience and memory without being too fast and overwhelming. Sunday Drivers is a simpler and less punishing take on Shy Guy Says, as we press the buttons matching the Shy Guy's commands as we race to swing and hit 10 golf balls before the other players. Finally, there's Throw Me a Bone, which has us racing to ride our chain chomps across the desert to reach a goal, while avoiding crashing into the stones that will stun us. So we move our chain chomps by waiting for a swinging gauge that will determine the chomp's direction, while pressing A to throw a bone, so it will trigger the chomp to chase after the bone in the direction the gauge is facing. The daytime version has a dry desert look, while the night version has these cool glowing stones. Onto 1 vs 3. Cash Flow has 2 teams sliding down a giant water slide to collect coins. The single player has the best advantage as they ride a giant Koopa shell that protects them from Spinies, but the 3-player team have to avoid bumping into each other, along with bumping into the Spinies or they'll be eliminated from the slide. They'll still get to keep any coins they collected from their teammates, but they won't be able to collect any more. So it's a simple but fun sliding game, but they should have saved this for Mario Party 7. It just would have fit that game's party cruise theming it had going on. I mostly found myself enjoying the nighttime visuals in most of these minigames, but this is one where I prefer the daytime version because I love the fun and the sun vibes it gives off. Sink or Swim has 1 player dropping bombs into the water as the team of 3 try avoiding getting hit by them. They need to surface to replenish air or they'll be immobilized. It's a lot harder being on the 3-player team with its slower controls, dodging, and constant requirement of regaining air. The luminescent glow of the nighttime variant is very pretty. Snow Brawl is an odd case where the 3-player team is outmatched as they snowball fight with 1 player along with 4 Ukiki CPU. 1 hit freezes and eliminates the players. It sounds like a fun idea, but the aiming and throwing range is honestly kind of bad. It's just kind of hard to deal with, so I like Snowball Summit from Mario Party 3 a lot better. The nighttime version admittedly has prettier colors, and it makes the snowflakes more visible. And it also replaces the Ukikis with Shy Guys. Balldozers is a fun one, that is, if you're on the single player side, because the CPU are brain dead idiots. The goal is for each team to guide a pinball to the goal by smashing these pegs that are blocking its path. The single player gets a smaller ball, but the 3-player team get a giant ball requiring the team to split up and work together to break pegs from different angles. Too bad the CPU stand around or wander in opposite directions, far away from the ball, and smash random pegs. This one is infuriating when you're on the 3-player side. You're the only one making an effort to get it to the goal, while the others are just dicking around. I'm so used to the CPU being dim-witted in the 2 vs 2 minigames, but I expected better from them in 1 vs 3. Surge and Destroy has 1 player controlling an electric orb as they try zapping the other players who try evading it. If the players touch the electric grid, they will slow down, but only the orb will eliminate them. The controls for the orb may take some getting used to, as you move horizontally with the left stick, yet vertically with the C stick, moving in an X and Y axis. The movement is very slow, unfortunately, but it's still okay though. Popstar has us racing to pop a balloon before the other team. The single player bashes the A button repeatedly to swing a hammer to fill it with air, while the 3-player team has to press the A button at the height of a jump to ground pound. Now, it is kind of an interesting idea. One where you have to button mash and one where you have to ground pound as fast as you can. It's a neat idea, but the CPU are brain dead no matter what side you're on, so I never lost this minigame no matter what side I was on both easy and normal difficulty. Stage Fright has 3 players on cannons that automatically slide left and right as we press A to fire to try shooting paintballs at the single player on the stage. The tough part is that shooting puts the cannons to a halt, and we have to avoid shooting our teammates or we'll stun them. The CPU kept shooting me on the back on the 3-player team, and we lost because of it. Conveyor Bolt is a very unique 1 versus 3 minigame, in which the roles can be reversed depending on the time of day for the gameplay. In the day variant, 1 player on a storm cloud hovers over a conveyor belt as they drop lightning bolts to either trap or eliminate the players below, while they try avoiding these spike traps. It's a very fun and chaotic one, but then the nighttime variant turns the tables. It has 3 players on clouds as they have to gang up and try to strike out 1 player with lightning. Both versions are insane and fun. It's too bad other entries didn't come up with flip 1 versus 3 minigames like this one did. It would have been cool to see more wild takes like this. Crate and Peril. Hey, remember that awful Sonic Shuffle minigame where the players get sucked into a tilt puzzle as one player tries tilting the box to trap the players in a hole? So yeah, this is basically that exact same minigame, but it's actually playable. It has better tilting physics, but this time we're trying to tilt the spinies into our enemies instead of tilting our enemies into a hole. I'll admit Sonic Shuffle's version was more colorful and it had a better presentation compared to Mario Party's simple cardboard box theme, but this minigame is otherwise the better choice gameplay-wise. But this minigame just reminds me of how far graphics and animation have gotten in video games. Back then, people praised the GameCube for its graphics, but while the models look decent for their time, you can't help but notice how dead-eyed and lifeless the characters look. Something the Mario games really didn't get better at until Mario Kart 8, Super Mario Odyssey, Luigi's Mansion, or Super Mario Party on Switch. While Mario characters still aren't as expressive as characters from Sonic the Hedgehog per se, they still come a long way from the blank doll stares that they gave in the 28-year gap between N64 and the Wii U era. Ray of Fright is a tricky one with some awkward controls as one player presses the L and R buttons to rotate these double-sided lasers, as we press A to fire them into different angled walls to try having the blast reflect and hit the other players. I was never very good at imagining trajectories of lasers or bounce physics in games or even real life. In other words, I suck at pool. So this one is tricky for me on both sides. Dusk Till Dawn is a race to clean up 2 rooms in a house. One player gets a really small room while the other 3 have to get like this bigger room. So the CPU are brain dead slow, so you're better off winning if you're on the single side, as we mash the A button to dust. Garden Grab has players taking turns with their partners pressing a matching button prompt until it requires us to mash a certain button in order to pull out a giant carrot before the other team. Pixel Perfect has us needing to ground pound on tiles to match a pixel drawing of one of Mario's classic power-ups. A simple and fun premise, but like every other 2 vs 2 game from the past, it's ruined by brain-dead CPU. It forces player 1 to have to do all the work because your CPU aren't going to help you. Slot Trot is a boring race as teams button mash A or B to move forward or back on these slot rollers, as we try having our slots match the pair of images presented before us. The first team to reach 3 matching pairs wins. Gondola Glide is another generic team button masher as we mash the A or B button after smashing through a panel with the A or B button on it. It's just Handcar Haylock but prettier and it doesn't require steering and we have to alternate between A and B every once in a while. Light Breeze is very similar to a dual minigame from the previous entry. We alternate between L and R buttons to try powering a fan with a giant fan. And so as each teammate tries having their sides of a gauge meet for full power. Once again, the human players have to do all the work for the CPU don't know how to button mash. Bodybuilder is another dumb slot game where we have to press A at the right time to try matching a roulette for these correct parts for building a robot. The CPU are constantly messing up, making this annoying. It's kind of cool how the robots have different variants for each part, and the final product is usually a mixture of non-matching robotic parts. It can be fun to see all the different parts functioning once they're assembled, but it's a pretty forgettable minigame other than that. Mullet is a minigame that's half good and half bad. The daytime variant has us playing an upside-down game of whack-a-mole, as we jump to hit the moles from the upside-down warp pipes above us, while trying to avoid the piranha plants that jump out. It's interesting to see a take on whack-a-mole in a Mario game that requires jumping at the enemies instead of on them like usual. The nighttime variant is not fun though. It's flipped upside down, so the piranha plants and moles are a lot harder to dodge, as they burst out of nowhere and will stun you. The plants are impossible to jump over, and if you only had to jump on the moles, this would have worked. But no, you have to ground pound on them or they will stun you. I'm just not a fan of the nighttime version of this, but I love the daytime version. It's also weird how the Monty moles looked really weird in this game. They had longer noses compared to the ones you see in regular Mario games nowadays. Catapult is a slow and boring game of taking turns jumping off a teeter-totter as we steer our characters to collect coins. The controls in this are very stiff and rather unpleasant. Jump the Gun is a unique idea where one player guides another by aiming and firing bullet bills to create a path for our teammates to hop across as they race to the goal. Too bad the CPU suck at aiming, as they randomly dick around instead of focusing on making a path quickly. They're luckily more cooperative when you're the one with the cannon. So it's another minigame that I forgot about that was actually in Super Mario Party Jamboree. I forgot that it was actually from this game. Luckily, Mario Party Jamboree actually fixed the CPU greatly for that one. Rocky Road. A fun idea once again ruined by awful CPU. We get driven around by Shy Guys, but we have to stop constantly due to roadblocks, as the teams of two need to smash the rocks with their bare hands in order to reach the goal first. It's a lot like Dungeon Duet from Mario Party 2, but with more than one object to smash. It's a fun idea, but once again, we do all the work as the CPU are more focused on standing around the background or running up to us and punching us for no reason, instead of actually helping us smash these boulders. Luckily, the opponents are brain dead as well, so even if you're stuck doing all the work, it's still easier to win. But it doesn't change how boring and disappointing the CPU made this minigame. Clean Team has us racing to clean these Fix-It Felix Jr. looking windows as one player sprays while the other wipes. It's a fun idea, but the CPU are slow and unresponsive. I once again ended up losing because I got all the windows sprayed as fast as possible, but my stupid slowpoke CPU had only 3 windows left to wipe by the time the opponents got theirs done. When the CPU have the spray duty, it doesn't take long for me to wipe up shortly after. Yet when the CPU partner has to wipe, they run around like an idiot and do nothing. It is infuriating. Finally, there's Burn Style, which is a 2 versus 2 clone of Hot Rope Jump from the first 2 games, except we run around these circular islands now, as we have to jump to evade the turnstile to avoid being knocked into the lava. The controls feel absolutely unnecessary, and the CPU will mess you up, because they run around for no reason, and they push into you. It makes it hard to concentrate, and it just makes it easier to get distracted and die. So, this is one of the worst jumping minigames in the franchise, but I'll at least say, once again, it's not as bad as Awful Towers. On to battle minigames. Hyper Sniper is a generic shooting game as we try shooting targets to get the highest score, while avoiding the big Bowser targets, which will reset our score to 0. Despite how big they are, they're very easy to avoid. For a game called Hyper Sniper, the aiming and shooting sure feels slow though. Insect Ride is the best variant of Day at the Races from Mario Party 2. Each player takes turns selecting an insect vehicle to drive, and each one has different stats and control methods, but each can have an equal advantage of reaching the goal. But the CPU are so brain dead slow, it takes forever for them to reach the finish line. So yeah, at first glance, it can be hard to tell that each of these vehicles has an equal advantage, when the CPU make it look like some vehicles are worse than they actually are. So the Grasshopper is probably the trickiest one to use. It can leap the furthest, but it requires constantly mashing in a long button input every time you want to make a move, making it the riskiest choice. The Snail was always my favorite, despite looking like it would be the slowest option. It keeps stretching its body out as we have to press the A button once it stretches the furthest it can, for it to be able to have the rest of its body catch up with its head. It travels very far and quickly despite the slow startup. The Stag Beetle requires us to press random buttons one at a time, and the Ladybug requires us to button mash a certain button over and over throughout the entire race. I like how it just takes getting used to the controls and timing to win, instead of dumb luck like in Day at the Races. Stamp by Me is a simple but fun idea where we have to swing a hammer left or right to stamp paper slowing down conveyor belts, and one moves faster than the other. It's a fun idea, but I feel like instead of pressing A or B to swing left or right, they should have had it be the L and R buttons, or have us flick left or right on the control stick. So yeah, the controls are the only thing that holds this one back for me, but it's still a fun idea. But yeah, they really should have done the controls better. Wrestling Rapids has us trying to punch our opponents off of a raft as we evade obstacles like giant collapsing bones. Strawberry Short Fuse is this game's equivalent of those dumb luck minigames like Bowser's Big Blast, except with a bit of a memory mix-up element. So it's just a boring game of taking turns picking an okiki and hoping they have a cake instead of a bomb. It's a bore fest. Control stick is similar to Shy Guy Says, but not as tough or annoying. We have to move the left and C stick to match these changing arrows, as our characters will move their arms to try to match the arrows. On to the duel minigames. For some reason, this game is obsessed with having most of them take place in either outer space, a lab, or a spooky forest theme. Light Up My Night has the players racing to light up the most candles. Cog Jog is a race through an obstacle course of cogs as we watch out for thwomps who can change the course's direction. Black Hole Boogie, shocker, another button masher, because each of these sequels needs to have one button masher for each minigame category. So here we button mash to swim away from a black hole. Full Tilt is a crazy race or a racetrack that's constantly tilting, and it has very few checkpoints. I feel like this one needed a few more checkpoints and a timer because it really drags on when everyone keeps falling off. So this is a minigame that could possibly never end if you have like two players who can, for the life of them, not get past this. A huge chunk of the final bit can actually easily be skipped by jumping over a huge gap if you're lucky enough. So this one was a fun idea, but just heavily flawed in execution. Sumo of Dumo. We use the same controls from Tricky Tires to try driving our opponents off a collapsing arena. It can get very tricky, especially when needing to back up and turn without falling off. Ozone is a bit of a memory mix-up game as we ground pound these hidden panels to try flipping over the O panels while avoiding the X panels. The first to get 3 wins. So Pitfall is the exact same thing as that dumb pick-a-rope minigame from the last entry. Mass Meteor has us moving our joysticks to swim across space and avoid meteors that will bounce us back. Dodging can be very tricky, but it's usually easy to beat the CPU in this. I love the funny ending where the loser gets flung into a meteor in the background. Just details of characters getting comically hurt in the background can usually crack me up, I don't know why. Lunatics has us falling to the ground as we hold the A button to activate jetpacks to slow our fall. Whoever lands closest to 0 wins. T-5 has us needing to ground pound on these switches as they turn green in order to get past 5 teleportation pads and reach the goal, as the lights keep getting faster and harder the closer we get. Asteroid Rage is a rocket rail ride as we tap L or R to dodge incoming asteroids. One hit eliminates the player, making the other player the winner. Booed Off the Stage is a survival dodge challenge as we run around to avoid the pink boos. Bonanza has us trying to herd the most pink boos into their respective pens. Trick or Tree is a dumb luck memory mix-up game where 4 trees scramble around and we have to pick which one's the tallest. Something's Amiss has us searching through fog until we feel a rumble in our controller, where a gem will lie below, and the first to find 3 gems wins. Onto the DK minigames. Tally me banana, daylight come and I wanna go home. In this minigame, we hop across a bunch of barrels to collect bananas, but if we hit the water, we're out. So whether you're in or out, you can still keep the bananas you may have collected. You are allowed to jump back onto the docks, and you won't be eliminated, but you just can't touch the water. In my opinion, this is the only passable DK minigame. It's not as fun as the ones from the past game, but compared to the other two, though, yeah, this is the only one I kind of liked. Banana Shake has us mashing the A button to shake bananas out of a tree, but we need to press B to try dodging hammers that will randomly fall. But the hammers fall way too fast. It is impossible to press the B button to dodge in time. It makes it feel more like a game of chicken. Either just have to keep button mashing A and not caring if you get hit by the hammers, or you just gotta occasionally randomly press the B button. And yeah, I don't like this one. It sucks. So Pier Factor is a pipe maze where we do nothing but select a barrel as we watch the barrel roll down the dock, and as it goes through different paths and bumps into other players, changing their trajectory, and so whoever collects the most bananas along the way wins. Yeah, these DK minigames, they stink this time around, but hey, they're still better than the DK64 minigames at least. On to the Bowser minigames. Pit Boss has players dodging spike bowls in a death pit. Dizzy Rotisserie is a lot like Dizzy Dancing from Mario Party 2, except we have to move our Dizzy characters to the exit with scrambled controls. We have to do it before Bowser statues activate and burn us. And then there's Dark and Crispy, where Bowser chases us in the dark with the only source of light coming from our players and Bowser's flames. He also has like a charge attack, so this one can be tricky, but it's fun. So I'm surprised to say that Mario Party 6 has the best collection of Bowser minigames so far. I hated all the dumb luck minigames that Bowser introduced in Mario Party 4. Mario Party 5s were admittedly better, but there was still one dumb luck minigame in that. But in Mario Party 6, these feel like they require more skill than luck. There is still some luck that may be required, but They're just overall a more fun challenge. Finally, we have the 4 rare minigames that we can unlock from solo mode and the Star Bank. Seer Terror is the only one you can purchase from the Star Bank, and it's the most pointless. I don't see any reason for why anyone would want to come back to this. It's just a dumb fortune-telling thing where a player picks a fortune from Bowser and he punishes us. That's it. This feels more like a scrapped idea for Bowser Spaces, where instead of the usual roulette wheel, it would have triggered like an event where we see Bowser as a fortune teller and he foresees our punishment. It's like they should have done that instead. They should have used this as the Bowser Spaces, but nope. Instead, they had to make it a useless minigame that no one will ever want to use again. Block Star is a puzzle game for 1 to 2 players. Most puzzle games in the Mario Party series required like matching 2 or more colors to get points, but this one is based more on beating a time limit by lining up these star blocks with the matching colors to level up and restore some time and move on to the next level before time runs out. Most puzzle games would have you drop the pieces from the sky and pile them on top of each other, but in this game, it's like the blocks rise from below, and we just have to grab a piece to throw it up on top of the others, if anything. So it's a very different way of playing a puzzle game. It's not bad, but it's honestly the weakest puzzle game I've ever seen from the Mario Party series. Like, out of all the ones I played, this is the one I'd want to replay the least. Lab Rats. Oh wow, Professor Egad actually shows up in this one. Now, he's been name-dropped in the past 2 games, but it's so bizarre seeing him in a game outside of Luigi's Mansion. I mean, the only other game I can think of that he physically appeared in was some of the Mario and Luigi games, but crazy to think it's been 23 years and he hasn't been playable in a single Mario game. So Egad challenges us to try out his new maze and try beating it within a time limit, but we can only go through the goals if we find the missing characters on each level of the maze, and we have to guide them to the goal in order to advance. So it might be fun for those who love time trials, trying to beat a minigame as fast as they can. It might be fun for those, but it's just a boring maze to me, honestly. Nothing amazing about it. Finally, there's Dunk Brothers. It's just a bland game of basketball. Better than Bomb Skip Ball from Mario Party 1, I guess, but I always hated basketball games that had this 2.5D camera perspective. I always preferred the ones like in Mario Hoops 3-on-3 or Mario Sport Mix, where you can actually see the hoop right in front of you or behind you. I don't like seeing it from the left or right. It just makes it harder to shoot through for that side perspective. There's much better basketball games out there. The rare games are not as good as the bonus modes from Mario Party 4 or 5, that's for sure. Overall, the minigames are not as bad as I remember. There are some legit good ones in here, but most of them do feel like lazy rehashes or rethemes from past games, and not the kind that fans like to play. Too many button mashers and dumb luck games. I really loved Motown and Cannonball Fun the most. The microphone minigames were very forgettable, and I have no desire to replay them. Onto the other minigame modes. Next, there's Battle Bridge, which is a generic minigame tournament where winning a game allows you to move closer to crossing a bridge. The first to reach the other end wins. The gameplay is slow, boring, and repetitive, but I do love the colorful scenery, very Yoshi's Island-esque. Treetop Bingo is one of the worst modes in this game. I'll at least say it's not as bad as Minigame Wars from Mario Party 5, but so winning a minigame allows us to select a number off of our bingo cards, and the first to get 2 or more bingo lines wins. The catch is that whatever number we pick, we also mark that same number off of the other player's bingo cards if they have that same number as well, which is really stupid. So there's even bonus rounds where we can mark 2 bingo numbers in one turn. So it's just a lengthy and boring minigame tournament. Mountain Duel is just a lazy tournament of nothing but duel minigames where the winner advances higher up a boring mountain. Decathlon Park is the return of Decathlon Marathon from Mario Party 5, which was the best minigame mode from that game in my opinion, and strange, I could have sworn Mario Party 5 was the only game to have that mode, but it's back here. It has a less interesting setting, unfortunately. In Mario Party 5, we were playing in a sports complex, like a baseball stadium, but here it's just a boring, empty park. The minigame selection was more fun in Mario Party 5 as well. This is still a decent mode in Mario Party 6. We still compete in minigames to try to get rewarded with the most points. So instead of being based on whoever wins the most minigame, it's based on whoever earned the most points across minigames. It's a really cool idea. Endurance Alley is a survival challenge to see how many minigames in a row we can win to try to reach the exit of a cave, but one loss makes us lose and we have to start all over. It's a fun challenge for those who love to torture themselves, I guess. On to the party mode board maps. It doesn't have the most exciting character and level select like past entries, but it does have the best award ceremony out of the GameCube entries so far. as the characters magically spiral into the air, and the winner is the one who goes up the highest, while the others just kind of prematurely fall. So one of the 3 bonus stars were replaced in this game. In all past entries, one player would get a bonus star for having the highest amount of coins collected at any point in the game, and that has been replaced with a star for whoever has the most orbs used across the game. I used to hate this change, but after realizing how unfair the game can be, where you could have spent so many turns fairly earning coins in mini games just for someone to steal them because of a boo, a chance time, or item capsules and orbs, it made me realize that, yeah, maybe this change was for the best. It's not as frustrating as it was when I was a kid. Back as a kid, I was used to usually getting like the bonus stars for collecting the most coins, but over the years I've seen how easily you can get screwed over by chance time. So yeah, I think I'm not too angry about this change anymore. Mario Party 6 has the most drastically different board maps out of any series. Only 3 of these feel like traditional board maps, but the other 3 have very different rules that make collecting stars drastically different. First off is Towering Treetop, my personal favorite board map in the game. Towering Treetop is a board map that has us adventuring up and across a giant towering tree, as it has a slide that will take us all the way back down to the start, and then we have to reclimb our way all the way up and around. This one has pretty visuals and fun interactive details like the bouncing mushrooms, flowers, and the rickety bridge. Happening spaces can trigger bees to sting us. So yeah, this is one of the few traditional maps in the game. Egad's Garage is another traditional map, being a giant laboratory with happening spaces that can trigger a fan to suck coins from the other players. One that can send us down a conveyor belt that sends us further down, but it will give us coins in the process. There's a teleportation machine that will warp us to a random end of the board, and a gadget that allows us to sacrifice our orbs and exchange them for other random orbs. So good if you have like a bunch of orbs that are really useless to you and you want to risk it and to see that you can get something good in return. So it feels like a less boring version of Luigi's Engine Room from Mario Party 1. Fair Square is the first board map to break the rules of past games, but it's unfortunately my most hated board map in this game. The key concept is kind of cool though, where the star space is stationary, and every time day or night approaches, Brighten or Twilight will change the price of the stars via a dice roll from 5 to 40 coins apiece, and we're allowed to buy up to 5 stars at once if we reach the star exchange. This is a fun way of mixing up the gameplay, but there's 2 things I really hate about this level. You can only buy 5 stars at a time, and I really feel like it should have been unlimited. It should have let you buy as many as your coins could allow. It just holds players back from trying to unlock everything in the game faster. But worst of all, this is a board map that is all about gambling. Across the board are these gambling mini games that we have to pay to roll slot machines and stuff like that to try to get coins. Most of the time, I don't even want to bother playing these dumb luck mini games, but the CPU are obsessed with gambling. It just makes the map drag on with everyone constantly slowing down to play these slot machines. I love the town setting of this map, and I love the idea of being able to buy multiple stars in one spot, but the gambling aspect just ruins it for me. Snowflake Lake is a very unique idea, being where each player starts off with 5 stars. There are no additional stars on this map, excluding the 3 bonus stars. There are many dual spaces, which can get annoying as the CPU will constantly spam the hell out of dueling stars out of people. We can also find these chain chomps and pay them 10 to 30 coins to ride them across like a roll of 1 to 3 dice blocks, depending on how much we paid them. So if we ride a chain chomp and run into another player, they'll steal a star from that player and give it to us. It's admittedly a really unique idea for a board map where you're just fighting for these stars, but the over-reliance on the dual spaces really makes this map drag on. I kind of prefer racing to get stars over mauling each other for stars. This map can be a never-ending back and forth of stars constantly being stolen back and forth between the same players, and it can get old really fast. It's too bad that these unique rule sets weren't optional. It would have been nice to be able to play some of these board maps with just traditional star gameplay, and I think that's one thing that bummed me out as a kid, because I did like the idea of some of these maps, but I hated how you couldn't play them like a regular board map, despite how there's no excuse for why you shouldn't have been able to. Why couldn't, like, at the level select, there should have been like an X button command where you press it to shut off the gimmicks, and just have it be a traditional Mario Party board map. That would have been really cool. And to this day, we still haven't gotten a single entry that allows us to change the rules for a board map, allowing us to shut off hazards or certain spaces. It would be fun to finally give players that feature. Some people like to play old board games, and they like to add their own additional rules to make it more fun or challenging. I think it's long overdue that we finally get a Mario Party entry that allows players to adjust the rules. I mean, look, Mario Kart 8 finally did it many years later. They gave players the option to play with certain items only or exclude a bunch of items. So, yeah, why can't we finally do it with Mario Party? Give us the option for what we want on and off. This map also includes happening spaces that trigger giant snowballs, similar to the ones from Mario Party 3's snow-themed map. Again, why does this entry have so many similarities to Mario Party 3? Castaway Bay feels like a board map you only would have found in the first Mario Party game. It's strange how the first game for the longest time was the only entry to have some board maps with unique gimmicks, and it wasn't until Mario Party 6 where we got more of these kind of gimmicks. So compared to the usual board maps, with stars changing location after being collected, this map plays more similarly to Mario's Rainbow Castle, with a little bit of a mixture of Yoshi's Tropical Island. So we have to race around an island to reach the end of the map in hopes of meeting Donkey Kong on his boat, and he'll trade us a star for free coins and give us a ride back to the start to start all over again. But every time DK leaves, Bowser's ship will take DK's place, and if a player runs into Bowser, he'll steal a star by giving us a Z-Tar, or he'll take away 20 coins if we don't have a star, and he blasts us back to the start as DK swaps places with him. So happening spaces will cause DK and Bowser's ships to switch places. Island levels are nothing new to the series. We've already had about like 4 of these in the past few games, but this is one of the best looking in the series, giving a real tropical getaway feel. There's a happening event where we can try catching coins that Okikis drop from a trees while we try avoiding the Spinies. Overall, I really do like this one. I would have preferred if it was just a regular chase for the stars, because I was never really a fan of the gimmick of like laying on a happening space to swap between Bowser and the star. That always kind of annoyed me, but it's still a fun level. Finally, there's Clockwork Castle, the only hidden map in the game, and it can only be bought in the Star Bank. And this is the second game in a row to have a board map that gives me Castle in the Sky vibes. This is just flat out Laputa right here. And so, this is a unique map where during the day, DK roams around on the board, and if we catch him, or if he finds us, he'll trade 20 coins for a star. At night, however, the direction for the board rotates, and Bowser takes DK's place as he tries chasing us down, and we have to try outrunning him. Both DK and Bowser can use 2 dice blocks at a time, so we can use warp pipes to either try warping to get closer to DK or to try evading Bowser. This is a fun yet very chaotic board map. Also at night, if we reach Twyla at the center of the map, we can pick between 1 or 2 treasure chests and claim a prize. One of them may contain a free star. So overall, Mario Party 6 is admittedly better than I remember. I hated this game as a kid, and I honestly can't recall why. The day and night feature and the board map selection are better than I remember. There are some decent minigames here, but admittedly a lot of them do feel kind of like lazy rehashes. They're just way too similar to other minigames. The microphone minigames were lame, and it was not worth the extra $20 that this game was asking for. I feel like people will just play them once and then never want to play them again. I don't see anyone wanting to say, oh, let's go back and play the microphone minigames. I just don't see that happening. The orbs weren't as plentiful or fun to use in Mario Party 5, but I like how we don't have to pay to use them anymore. I like how we can throw them from behind now. The bonus modes were not as fun as the ones from Mario Party 4 and 5. The lack of a story mode is refreshing, but the solo mode is an annoying gamble. And it stinks that we have to beat the 3 maps if we want to unlock the rare minigames. The rare minigames really aren't worth unlocking, but the fact that that's the only way to get them. I really owe this game an apology, because as a young teen, this was the first Mario Party game to absolutely bore or annoy me. I mean, I wasn't too impressed with Mario Party 4, but I wouldn't go as far as to say I hated it, though, because I was impressed with the visuals and some of the minigames that were really good. But for some reason, Mario Party 6 was the first entry that was so forgettable to me. And I don't know why. Admittedly, the game is a lot better than I remember. Maybe I was just let down because the game was asking for $20 more than a usual video game, and I was, they were heavily advertising this microphone gimmick, and it was just so disappointing to me in the end. So as for the tier list, now when I first started reviewing these games, I felt for sure I was probably going to put this towards the bottom of the list. I felt like this was probably going to be C tier if anything, but I was surprised by how much better this game is than I remember. I'm honestly putting it up in the A tier. I found it better than the first Mario Party. I am not going to lie. I think it has aged better than the original Mario Party. But I don't think it's as good as Mario Party 2, though. Mario Party 2's was just more fun for its costume, party gimmick, along with its presentation. So I'm sandwiching it between the first 2 games. Personally, I think it functions a lot better than the N64 trilogy, but like I said, I think Mario Party 2's was just more charming with its costume gimmick and all that, but I don't think it's better than Super Mario Party Jamboree or Mario Party 5, though, so those are still ahead of this. So Mario Party 5 is the only one that's still in the S tier. I'm still surprised I was able to put it up this high, though. Like I said, when I started this, I was not expecting it to be in high regards, but... So, yes, I do apologize, because across the years, I've heard some people admit that Mario Party 6 was the best, and in my opinion, I was wondering, why? That one was so forgettable, but I apologize. This game has aged a lot better than I recall. So, who knows if Mario Party 7 will be better than I remember, because I honestly thought Mario Party 7 was the most forgettable in the series. But if Mario Party 6 was able to turn me around after so many years, who knows? So up next, I'll be reviewing Mario Party 7, which was the last entry on the GameCube before it moved over to different consoles. So that's all I have to show for now. Thank you for watching, see you next time, and have a great day.